All right, let's talk about Ronald Jones's presser to the media, Chiefs players reacting to Will Smith's violence at the Oscars, the NFL's annual league meeting, Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, and much more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL overall. So make sure to sub if you're new around here, hit that like button, and let's get into the news. I'm going to start off first with some non-football news, but connect it to the Chiefs. Last night, during the 2022 Oscars ceremony, Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada. He basically said it looks like she's getting ready to film in a sequel for G.I. Jane, making a joke about her shaved head.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Well, Jada suffers from an autoimmune disorder that causes your hair to actually fall out, and she recently shared publicly about this. And yeah, so maybe the joke wasn't that funny. Well, in particular, Will Smith did not find it funny, and he actually walked up to Chris Rock and smacked him right across the face.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It was wild. He just sat back down. Chris Rock is like, wow, Will Smith just smacked the crap out of me. And then Will Smith starts screaming from the crowd to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. It was a very awkward moment, to say the least. Well, some of the Chiefs players reacted to this on Twitter. Creed Humphrey said Chris Rock got to find out what it feels like holding a bag for Trey Smith at practice. Deion Bush shared a tweet from Lamar Jackson with a gif from Everybody Hates Chris. Juan Thornhill said Will Smith smacked the comedian out of that boy. And then Mahomes also responded by saying, bro. Then later says, ain't no way. So yeah, there you have it. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, if this did not happen, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, I honestly would have had zero clue that the Oscars was even on and happening. So I guess thanks to Will Smith for bringing some additional awareness to the Oscars. What do you guys think about that? That was crazy. Let me know in the comments down below, because yeah, that was a wild one. And then Ronald Jones officially signed his contract yesterday.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Just put pen to paper, ready to get to work. Let's go.
And he also had his introductory press conference with the media. He feels confident that his skill set will, quote, translate perfectly. He talked about Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and how he's excited to see his number get called and to take it from there. He was asked if he sees himself as a backup, a starter, or what exactly. He just smiled and said, in Andy Reid's system, he knows everybody is going to get a chance to eat, and he's looking forward to that opportunity. He sort of equated Kansas City to Tampa Bay in the sense of utilizing multiple running backs. He said, quote, there's a whole bunch of talent around me, so they won't be keying in on any one guy. I'm excited to see how it fits in practice, and when we start up, I'm ready to get to work. And if you didn't know, both Ronald Jones and Juju Smith-Schuster played at the University of Southern California together for a couple of years, and Ronald Jones had this to say about Juju. Yeah, Juju, he's physical, he's a great athlete, he's great in space. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be excited to get to work with him again. We bring a lot of success wherever we go, and I'll be anticipating that. Jones was asked about his thoughts about the offensive line, and he complimented their talent, especially for being such a young group, and said they are going to complement each other well, talking about him and the line. Ronald Jones was with the Bucs the year they beat us in the Super Bowl, and he has that championship state of mind, so I'm certainly excited to have him on the team and see what he can bring to the table as far as running back depth is concerned. And then an article came out yesterday about Tyrann Mathieu and how surprising it is that he's still a free agent available on the market. And they say this, the most surprising name still available from the 2022 NFL free agency class is former KC Chiefs defensive back Tyrann Mathieu. The Honey Badger had a successful 3 seasons with the Chiefs, winning a Super Bowl and earning 2 All-Pro nods. And yet, turning 30 in May, Mathieu is becoming the biggest boom or bust free agent still left on the market. He then mentioned that the Chiefs opted for a younger, cheaper, and less volatile personality in Justin Reid instead of offering Mathieu a deal to return, and then mentioned that the Chiefs may have seen Tyrann's best days of play in the league as being a thing of the past, something that's behind him rather than ahead. And that was a factor in us going with a younger Reid. They then say if you factor in cap space, defensive scheme, and roster readiness, Mathieu's best fits are the Broncos, Chargers, Eagles, Dolphins, or maybe the Colts. What do you guys think about that? Do you think any of these teams would be a good fit for the Honey Badger? If so, why? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And then Lyle Graverson from Arrowhead Addict released an article recently about the Chiefs' remaining biggest holes needing filled on the roster. He lists the third biggest issue being wide receiver. Yeah, we have Juju, MVS, and McCole Hardman currently as the top 3 receivers, but he says this: after those first 3 names that we know will contribute, the Chiefs have a ton of guys that are capable of fighting for a roster spot but aren't guaranteed anything. Those guys include Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, Doris Fountain, Garrett Dieter, and Cornell Powell. Could any of these guys make the roster? Sure, but I don't think it's safe to count on any of them to contribute. That means the Chiefs need at least one more player talented enough to be a regular contributor. I wouldn't even be surprised if they added 2 more options. With this wide receiver class, it certainly makes sense that they would add a receiver in the first 2 rounds of the draft. The Chiefs also have been linked to Jacksonville Jaguars wideout Laviska Shenault. A trade for someone of that caliber would also make sense and still wouldn't stop them from targeting someone in the draft. The number 2 biggest hole, he says, is cornerback. He basically says, though, if the Chiefs bring on one of the 2 cornerbacks we've been reportedly seeking after, James Bradbury or Stephon Gilmore, we can move this to the number 3 issue and slide wide receiver down to number 2. Even with acquiring one of those veteran corners, we need to nail someone in the draft to fight for a spot on the starting roster alongside Snead and Fenton for sure. And the biggest need he mentions, and I agree with, edge rusher. So, what has KC done about it so far? Well, they kept Frank Clark on a reduced contract, and currently Melvin Ingram is a free agent. That means the Chiefs are currently worse at edge than they were last year when it was one of the weakest spots on the defense, and that's not good. The Chiefs reportedly hosted Arden Key for a free agent visit last week, but no news of his signing as of yet. Key can get pressure from multiple spots on the defensive front, but he's not even a clear upgrade over Ingram, other than he's younger. He says we need an additional 2 to 3 starting caliber players added to the roster, which could come from the draft, a trade, or I guess free agency still. But yeah, we have Dana, Kendo, and developmental piece Malik Herring, but that is not enough. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you agree that our 3 biggest needs are wide receiver, then cornerback, then edge? But if we sign Bradbury or Gilmore, would you then say the 2 biggest needs are wide receiver and edge? Let me know in the comments down below. I pretty much agree on what he said. We need to focus on edge first and foremost, in my opinion, after adding a veteran corner, and then go from there. I'm very surprised we haven't added an edge yet. In other NFL news, Field Yates tweets out saying, between the Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Davante Adams, and Tyreek Hill trades this month, 7 total first-round picks were traded in the NFL, and that's the most first-round picks traded in a single month in the common draft era. A crazy March in the NFL. Yeah, buddy, this has been insanity at its finest so far, and I'm having a blast covering it for you all, that is for sure. And then free agent wide receiver Jarvis Landry, who was recently cut by the Browns, he changed his agent, and it is said that he is wanting a contract in the range of $20 million per year. Mike Florio says Landry can still play at a high level, but with so many great receivers entering the NFL every year, it becomes harder and harder for pass catchers to break the bank. Only the very best of the very best veteran receivers like Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams will make huge money. For the rest, it will become harder and harder to realize a major payday. And then Adam Schefter tweeted out that former Oregon wide receiver kick returner standout DeAnthony Thomas, a former Baltimore Raven, when he opted out in 2020 due to COVID and who is now signed to the BC Lions in the CFL, wants to return to the NFL and will be working out at Oregon's Pro Day on April 1st. And I found this worth noting because he was with the Chiefs for just over 5 seasons, and yeah, lots of memories with that guy. He's now 29 years old, still wanting to play. Maybe he will get another shot. Time will tell there. And then yesterday, the 2022 NFL annual meeting kicked off with a look back at the 2021 season, and there were over 700 people in attendance. Here is where they will discuss the next season and any potential rule changes, such as in the overtime rules that we've discussed about in previous videos. Those will be decided on there as well. And then speaking with NFL Network's Tom Pelissero at the annual league meeting on Sunday, Packers head coach Matt Lafleur opened up about the team trading star wideout Davante Adams to the Raiders. He said this: sometimes you got to make some tough decisions. I certainly appreciate everything Davante brought to our team. I mean, he is the best receiver in the National Football League. So that was a tough one for me personally and for our organization. He was asked if there was any discussions of trying to talk Adams out of leaving, and he basically said, not really. Adams wanted to go to the Raiders, and the Packers had to manage their salary cap, so it was a very tough decision, yes, but the decision was made. And then speaking of monster wide receiver trades, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel also spoke about the trade with Tyreek Hill and his initial response after hearing they could possibly acquire him in a trade. He said, "You don't know if it's true or too good to be true, and this one felt too good." When the trade was actually pulled off, McDaniel had already pulled up tape on Hill and came away, quote, that much more convicted about what he already knew. He then said there's no real ceiling on ways you can involve him, saying, quote, "I will say that with players of dynamic skill sets such as Tyreek, which if there are other players that have his combo of skill, that group is small. There's no real ceiling on in terms of the ways that you can involve him. And there's certain things that I know that myself and the coaching staff haven't even thought of yet that will come on our plate." And I know for fans of the Miami Dolphins, the 2022 season can't get here fast enough for y'all. And I'm excited for you because Tyreek Hill is the man. That's going to do it for today's news, guys. Make sure to sub for more daily news like this and check out this video here from the previous day's news in case you missed it. So until next time, let's go. How about those